Good afternoon from Sydney, Australia, or good morning, good evening, depending if you're watching this live or by recording. My name is Trevor Dornbos. I'll be spending the next hour with you to take you through some of the intricacies of mission control project management. We're covering off a few aspects of mission control in a few slides and then straight into a solution demonstration. I've been at Aprica Business Solutions for the past 4 years. I consider myself a professional services automation specialist, now certified in mission control. And mission control, where did the journey start? Well, mission control started as an internal application developed in our Salesforce org by Chris and Colin, our co-founders, to deliver the projects they were implementing for Salesforce customers. It was released on Salesforce App Exchange 12 years ago. And since then, it's grown into a huge professional services automation solution, which you can download from Salesforce App Exchange. Why mission control? Well, if you're using Salesforce or you're considering using Salesforce, then that is a core value. It's built natively in Salesforce, so the application leverages the security, the stability that you get with Salesforce. You're logging in once into Salesforce, and the application, because it resides inside Salesforce, you're not having to go in and out of separate applications and worry about integrations. It's integrated at, I would say, at the platform layer. Works out of the box. Everything I show you today, everything you see in Mission Control, our demos, features are all available to every user when you download and when you sign up for Mission Control. We don't restrict the product. We don't have different tiers of availability of different features, which is fantastic with all our new releases that come out. The latest, which is now available in Sandbox, it's on App Exchange. And because we're built on Salesforce, that means a Salesforce admin or a Salesforce capable person can actually do the configuration and implementation of mission control. We provide all the online collateral, user guide, knowledge base, implementation guide, training videos, feature videos, our global award-winning customer success team for customer support. I was speaking with a client just earlier, and they were saying how wonderfully responsive and complete support case responses are. So how responsive our team are and how complete they are in the information, so they're never left guessing. What's the value of having mission control? Obviously, there's a cost associated with every software. And one of the core values of mission control has been able to automate those processes and simplify and centralize those processes in your services business. And the typical things we're seeing is, days, a month savings for individuals not having to do manual tasks anymore, being able to automate billing, all those sort of aspects. And that's available in the business and economic impact report, which you can get from our website. If you've come to see information on the latest release, you need to go to our website, aprica.com, go to the resources and down to release notes. And the latest release information is sitting there under release notes, version 1.6.9, all the great new updates that have gone into that release, as well as a feature video from Colin, our CEO, on what those all entail. You can download those, includes the instruction to incorporate all or some of those features into your mission control. Probably take you about 10 or 15 minutes if you do want to do that. So talking about customer success, customer support, I said they're an award-winning customer success team. Absolutely, we won an award last year, Partner of the Year award for customer success, which is fantastic. And it's what our customers are saying about us, both on Salesforce App Exchange reviews and G2.com, where people go for software comparison. And if you understand Net Promoter Score, I've got a very high Net Promoter Score, probably the highest I've seen in the industry, having worked in SaaS software for a long time. An NPS of 81 is kind of incomparable. And that's because we focus on the success of our end customers. We respond in a very timely manner. And essentially we do what we can to make sure the customer is always happy. What's in mission control? Well, there is a lot, and you're not going to see all of it today, but certainly It's not just a project management solution, it's also a resource management solution, right down to holiday tracking if you need it, skills tracking if you need it, being able to assign, being able to schedule, being able to track, the downstream effect of that. What's that utilization like? As far as project management, being able to create projects a number of ways, the way that works for you in your business. So you've got that flexibility to choose to use one or more of those methods. And as far as how you're managing a project, we provide all those aspects, and you can flip between a Kanban view, a list view, a Gantt chart view, not having to build each of those out manually at all. And there's certainly all those deep project management capabilities there as well as a myriad of ways to track time. By that, I mean different places. If you're always working in one aspect of the solution, like the Kanban view and the whiteboard, maybe you just want to log your time as you go, or you want to use the standalone timesheet. We'd like to even track it from the Gantt chart. You can certainly do that. Tracking the financials of your projects, extremely important. Tracking expenses, the cost of hours, margins, all those sorts of things. Yeah, all built there in a full PSA solution of mission control. Program management, more for software development. It's also incorporated if you want to use it. And then leveraging the platform for collaboration. So certainly chat is on the platform. Leverage that, being able to use all those inbuilt capabilities, as well as the ones that Mission Control was built out, getting that information out to your clients, things such as the status report and read-only page, and giving people the flexibility to work in areas and screens that actually work for them. They like a Kanban view, action pad, you name it, they can work in those various areas. So let's have a look at the product. And before we do that, let's take a look at the flow. I'm going to work through a lot today. So I hope you've had your coffee or your Red Bull or your cup of hot water and you're paying attention. Because if you look away for just a second, you might actually miss something. You will get the recording as a follow-up. So if you need to come back to it, that's not a problem at all. And there's also a Q&A in a webinar chat window. So if you do have a question, please put them in there. Happy to sort of take those at the end or at the time if I get to it in time and it's relevant. I'm going to start with a high-level view of Mission Control, the console. I'm going to create a project. I'm going to build out a full project because that question's come up a lot in the last few months. Can I use Mission Control to do estimating? And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that in it'll take 10 minutes to do that. Then we'll look at actually automating, creating projects from an opportunity. We're going to assign resources. We're going to log on as the resource, have a look at a team member's view of the world. Again, full access to the application. You control what people can see and do using those permission sets, using those role profiles. Once Lana's logged on and done that, we'll then come back as a project manager and we'll look at the billing aspect and we'll see how the billing works from that and where that integration point is into your finance system. Then we'll go in a deep dive into a project to look at some of the different aspects of that. If you're a Mission Control customer on the call, you'll be really happy to know that Meeting Manager is now available at the project level, something I've been waiting for as well, including getting those stakeholder reports, customer status report, customer read-only page. We'll then look at some of those, those key reporting aspects and dashboards and reports, but all that, also the resource planning. So the forward planning for the next weeks, months, what have you, on availability and bench time and all those aspects, as well as scheduling. So a lot to get through. So let's get into the application. So if we start in the console, now I'm logged into a Salesforce instance, a Salesforce org. I've got a number of applications available, and at the moment I'm in the Mission Control application, which is really the view I've got here. I'm including opportunities in here. I can access accounts and contacts because I'm actually doing that whole process flow from opportunity through to project, through to billing. When you start off on the console, there's a number of pads. There's a launch pad for creating things, a progress pad for actually progressing work, a management pad for deep dive, and the control pad for the system-wide settings for Mission Control. So the control pad will be for your admin, and you might restrict who gets access to these pads. So we'll go through and create a project shortly. I could actually go and clone a project template. I've got a number of templates in my org, and I've got everything from deposit to time and materials, prepaid support, retainer, you name it, nice and simple. Want a project, I just leverage a template and create my new project. I can group my project in any number of, I can group my projects into a program, and above program, I've also got portfolio. So if you've got delivery projects and two aspects of delivery, that's a very good way to segment that. A role in mission control is where you're assigning an action, a piece of work, and a role could be a person, could be an asset, a piece of equipment, or even a placeholder role. And roles can have a cost rate and a charge rate, which is when you're doing the estimating, which we'll do shortly, means you can look at what your margin's going to be. If I'm doing time and materials and I want to go to fixed fee, how do I actually track that on a regular basis? Grouping your roles into teams, you can be in any number of teams. You might have a master team of consulting, but also other teams for regional. It could be you could be New South Wales, you could be internal employees, whatever it may be. Building out a skills library and then assigning it to people. So by level of capability, even enjoyment factor, and there's even a skills development capability behind that. So you want to do your 6 monthly or annual reviews of people's skills, you can actually build that into the process using mission control. If you're tracking vacation time, holidays, annual leave, you can do that all within the solution, bring it in from your HR system if you've got it externally, and or a lot of other aspects. So we won't cover absolutely everything, but certainly the launch pad is where we're creating things. The progress pad, we'll be looking at the Kanban view on the whiteboard, we'll be looking at the timesheet, the action pad, a few other areas. And then we'll be deep diving later into one of my favorite projects over here, Roadshow implementation. And we can look at other aspects as well. Now, if you're going to install a trial of mission control, first thing you should do once you're set up is go to the control pad, scroll down, there's a little setting, create sample data. So you don't even have to build out that information. You're going to have that there ready for you. And just before I create a new project, you're going to see the trackpad. It's available here on the console and at the project level. And this is where you can choose, okay, I want to see the chatter feed. Show me everything that's happened at the trackpad here at the company level, any changes in the timelines of things, updates to actions and milestones. I can also log time, log expenses, add an action, add a risk, add an issue. No questions yet, that's great. So for the next 10 minutes, I'm going to create a brand new project. If you're familiar with mission control, you say category is not normally on there. You can actually update the field set to choose what fields do I want to have when I create a brand new project. And I will call this a demo project, fixed fee. And my example is I'm going to build out a project. I'm going to add in some milestones, some actions that have hours. I'm going to have roles in there. Then I want to work out the costing and the charging. And I use that to estimate what I can actually charge the customer and then what I'd need to do to turn that into a fixed fee project. Now, this will take me about 10 minutes, but when you're doing it for real, once you're familiar with it, it'll probably take you way less than that. If you're using multi-currency, what currency you're delivering and billing in, and then obviously go back to your home currency. Have got an opportunity. This will be a client project, and this is just a pick list field, which you can generate. And I want to actually create a pre-sales milestone to get started. I don't have any deadlines or budget. I could add all my milestones here and build out the project. I'm going to show you a couple of other ways to do that now. I'm launching the project. By the way, I've got absolutely every feature switched on, so your screen may not look this busy when you start. Now, one of the first things I'm doing, my role says I always want to land in the work breakdown structure because that's where I spend my day normally. I've got my pre-sales milestone, and there's always going to be multiple ways to do things in mission control. So the first thing I want to do is I want an action. Now, an action is where we're actually signing a piece of work. Over at the far right, you'll see some icons, and there's a nice little green icon, which is the action icon. If I want to put detail about what I'm doing for the action, I can certainly add that in. This is a page layout. So in Salesforce, you can reorganize this. You can make it whatever you want it to look like. You can add fields, add your own custom fields, show, hide, what have you. I'm going to assign this to myself. I'm going to build out the project here. don't need any other. I've got to pick this field, I'll do this. Now, again, all these fields, you can make them mandatory or not show them. You choose. I do want to make this non-billable. And I want it to start from Monday next week to the Friday. I'm going to use for that. Do I want to add that as a Salesforce event to show my calendar? No. And I'm going to make that 8 non-billable hours. If there's more information I need to add like material costs, what have you, do that. If I'm using user stories, all those aspects, I can do that as well. There's multiple ways we can create actions. That was just one of them. So I've got my milestone, I've got my actions. Now, how do I create my new milestones? I can go to 2 buttons to the right here. One is milestone loader, one is a new milestone. If I click on the new, I can create a milestone one at a time, create the information I want. I can use milestone loader, and I can bring information in from other projects, much as like you've used a project before. There's also a number of menu buttons. Now, I've configured my page layout to have all the buttons I use on a regular basis. If I go to the Create Milestones page, then I can build out my milestones. I can add rows and add more milestones. But what I'm going to do, and I know I'm jumping around a lot, I'm going to load from a project I've had before, and I'll probably use one of my templates. Let's look at, I'm going to go to a fixed fee. Here we go, fixed price, implementation, fixed price. So it's now letting me choose which of these milestones do I want from that project, as well as all the actions underneath. Under the actions, do I want the checklist items and any contributors? Absolutely. And the start date will be after my pre-sale. So I'm going to say, look, let's make that the 7th of October. And let's load that. This is going to take a full 10 minutes because there's a lot of explaining going on. But seriously, this would take you less than 5 minutes if you're doing it yourself. My milestones come from a fixed fee milestone billing. So I've actually got the billing amounts there. Under each milestone, I've got the actions, placeholder roles, which is going to give me my cost rate, my charge rate. I've got my estimated hours here of 8 hours. And if I need another layout, I've got checklist items underneath this as well. First thing I want to do, just to make sure my Gantt chart, when we go to it in a second, will be correct. So I just want to make sure my pre-sales is the first milestone. So just to make sure your milestone order is in sync, I go to the milestone sort order and go, right, I want that to be 1. I want that to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, that's good. And then if I go to my Gantt chart, I don't have to build a Gantt chart. Mission Control's building it for me. And here we can see there's our project, there's our lead time. Might just put a little dependency between the pre-sales and the requirements. It's just going to modify my project management. I actually want to build things out a bit further. There we go. Great. Happy with that. So, and if I want to share a Gantt chart at any time, I can export it as a PDF. I can share it as PDF, CSV, PNG file, what have you, and get that information out. And it's a great way to actually get a visual representation of what's actually happening with your project. If you want to add extra columns, you can certainly do that. There's lots of settings available all of the way through the system. Okay, so I've created a project. I've got my milestones. I've got my actions. I've got placeholder roles. I've got some real people in there as well. I've got Mick who's going to be managing the milestone level. And what I want to do now is get the billing sorted. Now, the billing, we're going to choose fixed fee for this example. I might just make myself the project owner. I'm not going to add it to a program. I'm going to relate it to my customer Ace. My contact at Ace is Brittany, not Brittany, Brittany. Third time lucky. I haven't got an opportunity yet, haven't got a reference code. I'm not using a rate card, but certainly you can have rate cards. Other fields, it's a client project, Australian dollars, and okay, billing type. I'm going to make this fixed price. There's a lot of other options you can certainly have there. Retainer, deposit, controlled at milestone level. We'll go with fixed price. I don't know the budget yet. That's what I'm here for. But I like to base it on the roles, costs, and charges. I can have a daily rate, cost and charge. I can base it on the skills. I can use the customer's rate card. But I'm going to say I want the costing and the estimating to be done at the role level, whatever their billing rate is and their cost rate. We're not doing anything with overtime, a whole lot of other settings. I might say I want approvals for timesheet by both the role manager and the project owner. We're in Australia, so we'll probably be charging GST. And we're going to do this based on completion of milestones. So nice and simple. No retainers. A lot of this information gets populated as the client goes up. We expect there's going to be 2,000 of incidental expenses. So we're going to capture that as well. Probably want to have those approved before they go to billing. I want to have a status report. And in that status report, I want to include time logs, issues, risks, the Gantt chart. We'll just figure out the rest later. I also want to have a read-only page for the customer. So it's a URL link that we actually share out to them. And then the rest of the information is just going to be updated as we go. So that was a lot of effort, kind of, to estimate out a project. Now, if I just had a template, I could have just created the project from the template very quickly. And you're probably wondering, well, why did I go to all that effort? Well, first of all, I can see exactly from the start, I've got 102 hours on my project. If I go to the insights, I've also got a lot of information here. We can show and hide the charts. I can see the billable value based on the hours times the roles charge rate comes to that total, and the hours times their cost rate deducted from that matches that total. So, project budget. Okay. That hasn't worked that out yet. So that's time materials. So if we put 20%, that's going to be 24. Let's call that 25,000 plus 2,000. So we'll make that 27,000. I'm going to put the project budget of 27,000. Do a quick financial recalculation. Hey presto, I've now estimated my project. I know what to charge the customer. I know what my time and materials value is. I know what the budget less my cost rate is my margin. Pretty healthy. As we log time, we'll be able to track how that's going. We'll see that. Fantastic. So what about if we want to automate that process? I'm glad you asked. I'm in a Salesforce opportunity. So we haven't got far through the demo. We're actually now here at opportunity to project creation. I probably should have gone back and said, how do I actually create this project as a template so I can use it again? Very easy. There's a little tick box here saying template. And then I'd probably rename my project and call it template, so I know when I'm looking at my projects. So how do I actually take one of those templates and use it to create a project? Well, in the opportunity, when we install Mission Control, we update the page layout in the opportunity for the people who need to do this. You don't have everyone seen it perhaps. And I've chosen a method to actually create a project from the opportunity. I'm using the opportunity method, which says take the whole template. If we're using products, CPQ, those sorts of things, then we can actually use those products to map to templates to create our projects for us. We could create a project at any stage. So you might be doing as I just did before. You might want to estimate out the project and say, generate that project there. Or you might want to automate a lot of this process and say, I want to minimize the amount of clicks. So the one automation I have in my org that I'll show you today is a simple Salesforce flow. It says when I click one, closed one, it'll click generate project. So it's ticked the generate project box down here. If I then hit refresh, we should see in the related list that right the project. So I'm in Salesforce in an opportunity. I've created a project which is linked to the account ACE. It's linked, of course, to the opportunity. And without actually leaving the system, I'm now inside my project. Again, I've got the same work breakdown structure. It looks very familiar. We copied from this project to create our other project. I can see I've got my placeholder roles. I can see my estimated hours. I've also got warnings. I've got warnings and alerts. Warning, this is actually starting today, so we're running behind. And alert, obviously, that's going to be impacted too. I could go and have a look at the insights, have a look at all that information like we did for our other project. I can see the billable value. I can see the cost value, all that other information. But essentially, I'm really good to go. I might just want to get this one action resource. So I want a placeholder consultant. So I need a consultant. There's a whole lot of icons at the right here. One of those is the resource assignment wizard. So action by action with the resource assignment wizard, you can find the right resource. You can just type in the resource's name. You could say, oh, I want to pick a certain person. Or you can leverage the resource assignment wizard capabilities. And our templates actually said, well, we need someone from this team and we want them to have this skill set. So by using the resource assignment wizard, Mission Control is going to search for someone based on those requirements, based on their availability, and show me who's available. Now, I can see if I look at Alana, I can see if she's got some billable work she did the last 2 days. She had day off on Monday. She's got some Salesforce events in here, probably some meetings. But today, which is the 12th of September, she's available. So I can just resource that to her, send it to her, job done. If I wanted to have contributors have multiple people, I can see Bethany's there. I might say, I'm going to split the hours and give 2 of those hours to Bethany. Or I might just want Bethany to ride along for 2 hours in the meeting to learn from Alana. So I haven't allowed for any non-billable value, but I can actually do that as well. So it'll become a cost to the project, and we know what Bethany's working on. But wait, there's more. You don't have to go one by one because we've actually determined the skills we need from the template. We could use the auto assignment wizard, which means with the auto assignment wizard, we can either go by the team we're requiring or the skill. I've chosen skill, and you can just let the system assign for you or get a list of recommendations. So based on the skill, based on the availability, Mission Control is going to search through all the resources and say, what are the best match in priority percent-wise? That can be even down to the skill enjoyment factor. So we've got Joel at the top here. So if I start with configuration at the bottom, I'm going to choose Alana for that. I'll also get her to do the training. That matches up nicely. Project manager, actually, Kelly's just told me he's possibly going away. So I'm just going to choose Mick instead. And we'll choose Joel for the UI design. So in less than 60 seconds, I've found the right resources. I've assigned them to my project. There we go. Job done. And I can see that under the resource allocations. Now, once I've seen that, resource allocations, I've added them on a tab here. So I'm always going to be able to see how many hours we've assigned. And when they start logging time, be able to see completed and remaining. So all that information is tracked for you real time in the system. So if I just hit refresh, we'll see all the people, placeholder roles are now being replaced by those individuals. Great. So Alana would have got a notification, but I might just very quickly just go into Chatter here and just quickly send a message to Alana. Client is ready for design meeting. Good to go. So being able to collaborate through the platform, really useful. And what we'll do now is let's go have a look at Alana's view of the world. So first of all, she may have got an action notification by email. So I could have seen that on her phone or on her desktop, of course. She might also get a daily digest, either once a week or every day, on all the things that she's got on her plate, from what's on today, anything new that's been added, anything that she's waiting on, things that are overdue. She's an approver, any approvals are. And in the latest release, there's also rejections included in that as well. So let's go into Alana's view of the world. Now I'm an admin, so I'm going to log in as Alana, and then I'll go into the team member view, which is a custom app in Salesforce. Not as scary as it sounds. It's really just a different view that we've created for team members in our organization. And you'll see there's a lot less tabs here, and Alana's only got access to the progress pad. If you look to the far right of the screen, you'll see there's a little notification, and that came from me. Great, fantastic. She could respond to that if she wants to. She's also got access to the trackpad. Not as many things available here, but she'll see things in the trackpad relating to what she's seeing. And she's got different views as well. So first of all, she might go to the action pad, and the action pad is a list of all the actions. So for Alana, it's just summarizing what she's got on her plate. She's got 13 actions. She's actually got one that's overdue. You can see all the schedule completed, and she can see every action there. Now she could just go through and tick those complete as she goes. She can see how many hours are scheduled, how's completed, what's remaining. So she's not surprised when she goes over, she'll actually know. You can also add notifications in there if you want to. We can see the requirements meeting there. And so she might come into here and go, well, okay, I'm going to look at the far right. And we can see, okay, there's actually a few things. She can log time, raise an issue, and this is actually the checklist item manager. So if we click on that, she can see there's a couple of checklists. So she has the meeting with the client, she's validated and documented the requirements, and then she sat down with the client, they've agreed, and they've actually signed off. So that's great. She's just knocked all that over very, very quickly. She could go and log time here as well. So we can see there's a little time icon here. So this will actually populate all the information. She could put in the time here and say it was design. It was 8 hours. Design complete. If you need to make this compulsory, you can certainly do that. And if you need more fields or less fields on this screen, you can certainly do that as well. If you want to track time at a time stopwatch type level, you can use the start tracking time, start the timer, and then you can either come back here or go into the timesheet to actually complete that time. We're not going to complete this action, so I want to show you another screen. So we're just going to log that time. And look at that, that's fantastic. And she might say there's another view. She wants to go into the Kanban view, so the whiteboard view. And we can see there's that requirements meeting there. So she's done 8 hours. She's the 2 out of the 2 checklists. The status bar is complete. We've got the project, the milestone, the action, and these are all the actions that she's working on. There's filters all the way through mission control. So I've just got a filter for called My Actions, and she can flip through. She could even say only show me things relating to this month, which she's done here. You make it this week or specific to a project, so you can very much filter it down. Might just quickly go into chatter, go up to the project level, and just comment design complete, design complete, signed off. And that information will go back through chatter. Fantastic. And when she's happy with that, she'll just drag that off into complaint. We could have done that from the timesheet as well. So fantastic. That's all done. See what else has happened within the system. She can go to her standalone timesheet. So we can see there she's got a requirements meeting for 8 hours. She's got another project. She hasn't actually logged all the time for that. But what she might do here, and we can see that Monday she took off as annual leave, so PTO, paid time off. And we see the weekends a non-working day. If she needs to add other information from other projects, say, for example, she had some internal admin or whatever, or maybe she's got work in progress meeting that she attends. I'd say, look, maybe she would normally attend meetings, and she can say, I spent half an hour on a work in progress meeting. And if we need to cover that off to anything else, we could add that information. And we're just going to save and submit. So you can save and submit individual pieces of time. It won't submit the things that haven't actually been completed. Or you could save it till the end of the week, of course. So that's still grayed out. If you've got hours here that have been scheduled, you can say save suggested hours, then save and submit those. If you're integrated your Outlook or Google calendars into Salesforce, then you'll be able to see events. So Salesforce events in here, you can actually log time against those events. So I could have actually logged the time from here to say, oh yeah, that's WIP meeting. Sorry, WIP meeting. There we go. I could have logged the time here as well. So there's multiple places that you can log time. Little red icons telling you those have already had time logged against them. You can also see if any of the time you've submitted has been rejected. And with a comment back from saying, look, why was it rejected? Okay, please log minimum of 0.6, log us 1 hour. Okay, and I can go through and update those and resubmit them. There's also other aspects. Maybe Alana can see all the projects that she's working on. So she's got the view of anything she's got access to, and pretty much keep it to what you want your people to see. I'm going to go back now as Mick, as the project manager. And let's go back and have a look at our project. I'm just going to hit refresh here. And just see what's actually happened. So we can see that requirements meeting is complete, the milestone's complete. Because it's fixed fee milestone billing, and we can see the hours complete, this has actually kicked off a billing event. So all the hours, your estimate versus actuals, or scheduled versus completed, that can roll up to the milestone level. We can see how many hours remaining from that total that can still be used. And if I go to, sorry, it helps if I log out as Alana, doesn't it? One thing I sometimes forget to do, which is why I don't log in now the system. So let's go back to my project. And there we go. You can see the difference between if I'm logged on as Alana and logged on as me. Now, because that milestone is complete, it's also kicked off a billing event. I can see that billing event is based on the milestone billing amount. It's in a draft status. It's based on the completion of the requirements. If I dive deep under here, we can see all that information. It's in draft status at the moment. If I have it tied to anything else I can have here, I can see the GST treatment here. And deep under the covers, you can set up integration or just use an extract to push that through to your finance system where that payment comes back. Either automate through integration, or you can have that CSV extract from your system, or as I'm doing here, even do it manually. Why would I be showing you this? For the simple reason that if you have this all automated, you're saving a lot of time generally for what your people are working on. If that billing goes straight through to your finance system, we can see that it's been invoiced, and then when a payment comes back from your finance system, we can see it's paid. So we've got customers who partners who say they actually automate that full billing process, and then what they do is they just process credits when if the customer queries. They say it's probably 7% of their invoices, so it's a lot better than having to spend all the time on approvals and reconciliation. Okay, billing integration milestone. I'm going to quickly go into a deep dive project, show you some of those other features and functions. We've finished with the consultant's view. Go into the deep dive. Now, the roadshow implementation we saw before, should be familiar with the project structure. This one's got a bit of a difference in that we've included phases. So I've got an initiation phase where I'm grouping my milestones. So if you need to have phases, milestones, actions, checklist items, that's a great way to separate it out. That also will show in the Gantt chart view. If you're familiar with mission control, then yeah, the phases will actually expand and shrink with the system. So I can see there's my phases, there's my milestones, there's my actions, there's my checklist items. I can see all that information there. The insights, we've seen that a couple of times. You can, at the project level, determine which ones are in here. So you can switch them on, switch them off. Two features, extremely powerful, is because we're tracking the billable value, the cost value, and the hours. That means we can track the cost performance of our project. So we know when we're using more hours than we actually estimated, and that would impact our costs. Now, on cost performance and schedule performance, one means we're on track. If we fall below one, we can set red, amber, green settings. My example, I've gone down to amber, and this has been caused by not scheduling non-billable hours, but having non-billable hours. So that's increased the cost of our project with no further compensation. Now, in that sort of situation, you either write off the time or you ask for a change request. We do have a change request object. So in this case, we've raised the change request and to increase the scope for design, and we can build some automation around that, use a document merge tool like Congo, Compose, whatever, to send that off to the client. My schedule performance looks okay. It's pretty close to good. That probably means that we're halfway through an action this week that hasn't had time logged for it, but it's still green. So without even having to do any more investigation, go, look, we're on schedule. There's a bit of additional cost. We've got a change request. That's all pretty good. I can see there's some risks being raised. There's some issues being raised. Nothing's overdue from an action or a checklist perspective. So yeah, that's pretty good. Detail, this is a page layout view. This has got all the features available for the project. You can go into the page layout view as a Salesforce admin and reorder this, show and hide, add your own custom fields. If you're tracking budgets at a lower level than project budget, then budget items are a way to actually separate out those budgets. So if you build out your budgets, then as your expenses come in, whether they're for the hours, whether they're for expenses coming in, then you can certainly track that at a lower level. We've seen the action pad standalone for Lana. That's available at the project level. So we can see a summary of where things are up to. We can manage everything from that level. We can do that also in the whiteboard view, the Kanban view. If we're in a project, we can then also look at that from a milestone view. So you can sort of track. If you wanted to add actions, you can do that in many places, including here in the Kanban view. And with status, that's very much the drag and drop capability. Tracking your time logs. This project had some written off hours, had non-billable hours. So we can see here, there's the non-billable indicator. People have said there's additional requirements. We've actually given it a pick list of write-off. So from reporting, we can see very quickly where we've gone astray. And that's where that change request got logged. We can track the expenses against the project. So this one, we can see we've gone a fraction over our budget, but we can determine if we need to increase the expenses budget or not. We can raise risks, we can raise issues, we can collaborate on those with people who have access to mission control, whether that's internal or external. We just need to have a license to mission control in Salesforce, and we can prioritize those and work through those aspects. Billing, we've talked to whiteboard. If you've got a number of checklist items, a lot of checklist items under your actions, you have a whiteboard for that as well, a Kanban view for working on your checklist items. Tracking revenue recognition. So some of that's done automatically within the system. So you can do this project by project and across the PMO dashboard by multiple projects, as well as project retrospectives. I've been able to track on what's gone well, what needs to be done better, and reporting on the learnings on that, being able to go through and say, okay, for the next project, let's make sure we do this better next time. Other aspects that we may not have covered off or come to, getting that information out to your client. Out-of-the-box capability, including the status report, which you can run ad hoc like I have here, or schedule on a weekly basis to go through the key stakeholders. And you may just send a project summary page with the project notes from the manager. So, this is where we're up to. This is when the expected end date is. We've got issues, risks, and a change request, and you can incorporate some of those into the project status report if you want to. Incorporating the milestones and the actions, they can see exactly where things are up to. Great way to keep your customer up to date. I've also included a nice little Gantt chart view so the client can get a view of actually what's happening and where we're up to. And we can see, look, there we go. We finished one milestone and the next one's going to start to build page content. Also include time logs summary, maybe expense summary, issues, risks, change requests, all those sorts of things. There's also a customer read-only page. It's a force.com page. We'll take one license to activate across your company. And I can do similar things like show me the work breakdown structure, show me an interactive read-only Gantt chart view. Again, we see the actions completed, the next one scheduled, and the whiteboard, the Kanban view of where things are up to, risks, issues, what have you. No, I'm rushing through things here, but it's a matter of there's a lot to cover in mission control. So dashboards, reports, resource planning, and scheduling. Let's get into that. So if I have a look at the dashboard, mission controls built on Salesforce. Of course, we leverage Salesforce reports and dashboards. So being able to report on this information is very straightforward to set up with Salesforce reports. For example, I've got a report here for key project cost and schedule performance using the Salesforce report builder against the mission control objects. So you're simply grouping as you would in an Excel file and determining how you actually want to report on that, what sort of view, and being able to then use those to generate information into your dashboards. So that cost performance, that schedule performance, I can see what's running well. I can see what's really behind on schedule, but really ahead on cost. And there's our roadshow project. I can click through from here into that report that we just saw. And I can click through. That's filtered just on one project, and I can go straight into that project. So everything's connected. Everything's all on one platform, all in one place. So you've got that information. Resource planning. Now, because we're assigning roles to projects, you can actually report on that. It's going to click go on that. So it's probably be sitting there for about an hour now. And here I say, don't just show me the actions. I also have some resource forecasts. So role forecasts is something you can do right at the opportunity level to say, a soft booking for my people. And I'll show you how that works in the planner aspect. In the overview, I've created a filter for my key consultants. So I can see here, you can create any number of filters through mission control. You can share them to other people in your organization, either specific teams or certain users. And I can see here, what's my utilization? What's my capacity? A lot of green there, which means availability. You might want to set that different and say, I want it to be red when there's availability, green when they're fully booked. You can do that. And then in the planner view, you can look at that at a daily, weekly, or monthly, depending on the data of what's coming up. You can group it by the role as I have here. We can do it by the project. And I can see Alana's at 95% utilization. And we go down, I can see whether it's billable, non-billable. She's got holiday booked. There's that implementation services project where she's got time booked. And because of that time, looks like she's overbooked for the next few weeks. So that could be a bit of a problem. But then I can also see I've got a soft booking here for Orange Tech Stack. So maybe it's not as bad. So if I go, what if I go with what she's currently resourced for at the moment? Okay, that looks a lot better, unless you're Joel, of course. So I probably need to go and have a look at that forecast and say, well, we can't give you Alana. She's already busy. And we can start looking at scheduling that work to other people. And I probably want to look at Joel as well for next week. Now, how do I do that rescheduling? Oh, by the way, and wherever you see these hyperlinks, you can go through the role record. You can go to the actual project. So you can drill through, open those up. You're not having to sort of flip through different tabs all the time. So let's have a look at the next couple of weeks. And I'll do that within the scheduler. And I'm just going to hit refresh on there because that's probably changed a bit. And I'm just going to go back to the beginning of the week. And we'll see that on Monday, there's that annual leave that Alana had. There's project she had the last 2 days. There's the requirements that she's done. She's got a couple of events in here for team meetings. And I can see all these other things. And there's Joel. Looks like Joel has a lot of stuff on his plate. Now, I'm going to have a look at the heat map view and go, yeah, that's looking pretty sad for 2 days work. He's got almost a week on each. So I probably need to go and have a word to the project manager for those. So I could simplistically, if I just quickly needed to reassign work, go, okay, I can see Lane's available. I might just move some of this work down to Lane and see, is that actually going to free things up? It looks like it's going to free a lot of things up and make some changes. So I'm using the latest release. It's still in Sandbox. So that's why that little thing's popping up. So you can go from that heat map like you do in the resource planner. You can actually reschedule things. I haven't actually committed this change here. So actually, let's just quickly refresh so we don't commit that change. So it gives you the ability to do that what if, even through to seeing how much of that time allocated is billable versus, are the hours billable or non-billable, that heat map, the actions view, as well as the project view. And we can look at hours, days, even the months ahead. And we can look at individual items and see, I can see there's 10 out of 8. There's other aspects where we need to do some rescheduling. Utilization, very quickly. I won't spend too much time on this, apart from that saying it's built into the system. And the value of that, of course, is not just the billable time. We can see non-billable time. We can see any holiday hours. It's all tracked. And we've got a higher billable target for Alana of 80%. And we can see, is she meeting her hours? Is she meeting her billable capacity? Doesn't look like it from a capacity, but her performance overall is within threshold. You can do that across teams as well. We showed you the Gantt chart earlier, and that works as a standalone too. So I've just filtered by my account, ACE. You can filter by any filter, create a number of filters. And certainly the value of that is if I've got dependencies, not just in my projects, but between projects, I might say, actually, I'd like to have a dependency from this project down to this project. I'll be able to actually do that and then carry that through, hit save. So it's really valuable to be able to see where are things up to. I can see the progress bar. Roadshows, the one that looks a little behind, but that's because we haven't logged any time for this week. So I can see the progress bar, then go into each project individually. Lots of settings we can update there as well. So to summarize, how do we support you? So you're looking at mission control. Where do we take you from there? So if you need to evaluate mission control, we'll sit down with you over a call, over a Zoom call, get an idea of what you're trying to actually achieve with the business, where the issues are, what your core requirements are, where you'd like to be. Then from that, we'll actually demonstrate. As you can see, there's a lot of features in mission control. So we want to focus on the core things that are going to solve your problems. There is a 14-day free trial available from downloading from Salesforce App Exchange, and we'll support you through that during that 2 weeks. We can schedule a call to answer any questions. You can also leverage our customer success team during that trial. And then when you do sign up for Mission Control, we take you through a 90-day onboarding plan, provide you all the implementation collateral. We can also implement Mission Control if you don't want to do it yourself. We also have systems integration partners that do that as well. And we keep updates through monthly webinars on what we call Cosmo Campfire. Cosmo is that little Ferrari character up my left shoulder. And those Cosmo Campfire webinars are on specific features. So if you want to set up one feature, it'll take you through absolutely everything you need to know. And it's interactive if you're watching it live, but certainly they're recorded. 3 releases a year, of which we're currently in one here, version 1.69. And it's native to Salesforce. So what licenses do we support? So depending on what license level you've got in Salesforce, we support pretty much all of them, including Professional Services Suite, I think it's called. I haven't updated this slide. And that means you can actually create all your own custom fields. You can create flows, triggers, workflow rules, anything you want to do. you're not restricted to do things a certain way. You've got that full capability of Salesforce. You can literally install Mission Control into your sandbox, have it up and running in less than half an hour. Follow the full implementation guide, as many of our customers have. And it's designed across multiple industries. And certainly as we've grown over the last 12 years, a lot of various clients have asked for various features. Things such as budget items, having multiple budgets came from a lot of our construction clients. But there's a lot across the board, as well as online collateral such as the implementation guide, the knowledge base, the user guide, the training videos. We also have a learning portal. So you can actually go today, you can actually go to our website. If you go to our website, the far right under resources is learning, and you can go and take module by module training on mission control and become a certified expert on mission control, as certainly all our team are. As far as the core value, if we look at customers like brands, Chris Litton came back and told us in the first year they had mission control that for their 20 project managers, each of their project managers were saving 4 days a month that were doing previously for manual admin tasks and reporting, because they managed to automate all that process in mission control. And then in the second year, they came back and told us they measured a 30% increase in efficiency. We've got a report to cover off all that in a few slides' time. Also, tier 1 customers, Fortune 100 customers such as Cardinal Health, but certainly the business impact report, where 50 of our customers opened up their P&L books to an independent consultant to say, this is the impact we've had on having mission control. And a lot of sort of stats within that, increases in revenue, increases in profit, billable utilization, improvement in efficiency, cost reduction, you name it. And that means being able to actually do more. So if you're growing or you're needing to keep control of costs, it covers both those aspects. How do I get a trial of mission control? I'm glad you asked. You go to Salesforce App Exchange and search on Mission Control Project Management and click on the Get It Now button. Obviously, sign in with your credentials for your Salesforce org, your sandbox, or what have you, and install into your org. Our support team's available for you, and I'm also available as your account manager. So a lot of that information available on aprika.com is the website. Under the resources tab, there's things such as the learning portal, those Cosmo Campfire webinars, user guide, knowledge base, going to support, all that information. There's no shortage of information. Benefits of mission control, that's where you find the business and economic impact report. And if you need to know a bit more about the features, that's all in there as well. Thank you for your time. I hope that's been informative. My name's Trevor Dornbos, and I'll be available to take any questions following the webinar. My email is there, trevor.dornbos, that's RNBOS @aprika.com.au. Thank you for your time.